Shalom, chavarim. Hello, my friends. Manishma, what's up? I'm coming to you today with a bonus video. So feel free to watch it if you want to learn a little bit more about Jewish ritual and practice and custom, but by no means is this directly connected to the study. So if it's a busy day for you, a busy week for you, I don't want you to feel obligated to tune in. But I do think it's a pretty cool opportunity that we have to lift up some Jewish ritual and practice while broadly we are studying the Jewish roots of the Lenten season, really kind of is narrowing in on the first century of the Common Era, the time of Jesus and the Jesus movement. Well, let me connect this to something that is happening right now, today, in our 2022 calendar. At sundown this evening begins the Jewish festival of Purim. And I want to tell you a little bit about what Purim is, how it is practiced, how it is celebrated, and some of the lessons that Purim holds for us today, for certainly contemporary Jews today, as the Jewish community will be celebrating in the synagogue at sundown this evening, the holiday of Purim. So to understand the backstory of the holiday of Purim, I want to take you to about the mid-400s before the Common Era. So we've been looking at the first century of the Common Era, so we'll need to rewind back to about 430 before the Common Era. This takes place in a city within the Persian Empire of the 400s before the Common Era. In this city, there was a king. The king's name is Ahasuerus. I can't say that so well in English. Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus was married to his beautiful queen, Vashti. Well, Vashti dies, and Ahasuerus then wants to have a contest to pick his next bride. It must be good to be a king. Well, the front runner in that contest for Ahasuerus' queen is a woman. What do you think her name could be? It is Esther. So Esther is a Jewish woman, and her uncle, Esther's uncle, Mordecai, is a leader of the local Jewish community. So Esther consults with Mordecai. Mordecai says, this is wonderful that you've been selected to be the queen, but here's a bit of advice. Don't disclose that you are Jewish. Mordecai anticipated some problems if Esther was to proclaim that she is Jewish to the king. So she says, mum's the word. She gets married. Fast forward. There is a leading government official within the court of Ahasuerus. This guy's name is Haman. Now, Haman is pretty power hungry. He likes to go around the city and have people bow to Haman's authority. He is somebody, now remember what it means to be meek, according to Jesus and according to the scriptures around the first century of the Common Era, not to lord your power over others like the Gentiles. We connected that to the Roman occupying forces of empire in the first century. But here we have another example of somebody lording their power over others. It is Haman. So Haman wants people to bow to his authority. Well, he comes to the Jewish community, and guess what? Mordecai says, no, Haman, we are not going to bow down to you. For the Jewish people, they have God as the sole authority. That is one of the important commandments. In fact, Jews read the 10 Commandments, the first commandment being, the Lord is God, the Lord alone. There's a prayer for it called the Shema. Shema, Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. It's blessed be God, the only God, the God alone. So it's important to Jewish folks that there is only one God. Do not make idols, and we're not going to worship these other people like Haman. So Haman is angered by this, goes to the king Ahasuerus. These people refuse to respect our authority. I am going to execute them. So the king says, Haman, we're going to cast lots to randomly select a day of this month, the month of Adar, which happens to correspond with our month of March. We're going to cast lots and decide the day that you will then execute the Jewish people. So Esther hears of this story, goes to Mordecai and says, what should I do? And so Mordecai says, well, you have to confront the king. So Esther prays and fasts and decides she is going to confront the king and says, listen, Ahasuerus, I am Jewish. So if you have this edict to slaughter all the Jewish people in the city, that will include me. Ahasuerus says, well, we can't let that happen. So he foils Haman's plot And in fact, it even says that the gallows that were built to hang the Jewish people, that Haman would be hung, or hanged rather, on those gallows. So that's a little dark, a little violent, but we can see the holiday of Purim is a holiday of celebration for Esther, who was able to dash Haman's plot and allow the Jewish people to continue to survive in this Persian city. So that is the story of Esther. So Purim, the holiday that starts this evening, it begins with a public reading of the scroll of Esther, or of the book of Esther. It begins with a public reading of that in the synagogue. As that public reading is underway, kids in the synagogue are given noisemakers, adults boo. Every time the name of Haman is mentioned, the noisemakers go, the adults boo. The idea is that the name of Haman will be drowned out. So that is one of the commandments, one of the mitzvot, one of the commandments to celebrating the holiday of Purim. Another one of the commandments, and this you may either like or dislike, depending on your frame of reference, another commandment is to drink so much on Purim that you cannot tell the difference between Mordechai and Haman. So it is a raucous, loud, fun, noisy holiday. Oftentimes, synagogue goers will wear costumes. So we wear costumes because if you were to read the book of Esther, which you can do, you can do that right now. You can do that this evening if you'd like. If you read the book of Esther, God is not mentioned once in the book. So the idea is that God is hidden and still directing the events of our lives for the good. So synagogue goers will wear costumes for that reason. Oftentimes, these little triangular cookies called Hamantaschen that are supposed to symbolize Haman's hat, that Hamantaschen are made and eaten and enjoyed, little three-pointed triangular cookies that have jam, preservatives, jelly on the inside. They're really quite good. So that's one of the practices. Another one is to give to your friends and neighbors something called mishloach manot, which are gift baskets. So it is a joyous and celebratory holiday. But interestingly enough, this holiday of fun, festive celebration, joy, drinking, costume wearing, and noise making, the name Purim is connected to another holiday called Yom Kippur. Now, Yom Kippur is the most solemn day in the Jewish calendar. This is a day for prayer, fasting, atonement. So it's interesting to see those holidays juxtaposed, this holiday of Purim that is all about celebration, and the holiday of Yom Kippur, which is all about atonement. So I love how those names are connected to bring joy right alongside this reflection, introspection, atonement. It's interesting to put those together, and yet Purim and Yom Kippur do just that. So tonight at sundown, be thinking of our Jewish siblings in the synagogues, wearing costumes, making loud noises, enjoying cookies, giving gifts to their friends, mishloach manot, and reading the story of Esther. Oftentimes, the story of Esther is read from a large scroll. That scroll is called a Megillah. So there's also a kind of a Jewish idiom or a slang term. If somebody is going on too long, kind of like how I am in this video, then you may say to that person, do you have to give me the whole Megillah? Do you have to give me the whole scroll? That idiom or expression comes from this holiday of Purim when we do read the Megillah, the scroll of Esther. So that's a little bit about Purim. It begins sundown this evening. So that's just a little fun bonus video that hopefully you enjoy. A little bit of custom practice and ritual from our Jewish siblings. So happy Purim holiday to all of our Jewish sisters and brothers in the synagogues here locally, around the country, even around the world, and maybe have an extra glass of wine for Esther as you relax this evening. So answer the discussion board prompt. I'll be with you Friday for some scriptures. See you next Monday for a regularly scheduled video. I'm really having a great time with y'all. Okay, lahitriot, goodbye.